Podcast.
How are you doing, bro?
This is my Zen space.
Yes,
Dude,
yes.
I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
so happy to be here.
finally doing
How are
it.
you?
I'm good. I'm good. Like I've had a crazy day though. I've had like a super crazy day. I was literally like rushing back to make this. But yeah, literally rushing back. Like literally in the Uber, like, dude, like this thing starts at 6, like you know what I'm saying. But like again, like I should say, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And I think that like we're gonna get into like a lot. I think that there's a lot that you've been wanting to get into as well. And I think that this is going to be a very like fruitful 45 minutes. And I think also just to get into your space as well, to hear where you're at. I mean, it's a very big time for you
Mhm.
right now as well. So I'm super keen to hear about that. But to introduce maybe everyone, I'd want to maybe start with that. So who you are, what the hell you do, maybe where you're based as well. I think that will also give people a good idea geographically. Yeah.
Cool. So firstly, I just wanted to say thank you for having me on this podcast. I think what you're doing here is
Yeah.
so awesome. I'm
Yeah.
I'm someone who I like the small details. I like
Yeah.
the behind the scenes, and I feel
Yeah.
like that's what you're really trying to accomplish here. So thank you.
100%.
Um, yeah. So about me, my name is Michael Petery. I'm the designer of Xavier Sadan in South Africa.
Yeah.
Um, and when I say designer, I'm just getting started. So that means I do everything currently.
100%.
um, and yeah, my where I'm from, my location. So I was born in Kensington, Cape Town, and I spent half of my life there, and then I spent like the second sort of half in Parkhurst, Johannesburg, but I'm
Yeah.
currently in Linden,
Okay,
Johannesburg.
cool. That's Joburg. Okay, cool. I don't know you spent half your life in, because I definitely got like a Cape Town energy, but like you were in Joburg. So I was never fully sure. But that's actually pretty cool. And when you said also that specifically about like designers, and that like a designer isn't, it's not, that word encompasses a lot. And me
Mhm.
not being a designer, but me being in the space and interacting with more designers in media, I see just how weighted that word is. Like it's a designer
Mhm.
is essentially like a lot of things all wrapped in one, really. Um,
Mhm.
I think that probably segues well into like the fashion aspect of it. Like when did you actually like get into that? Was it maybe when you were here in Cape Town in Kensington, or was it maybe more when you got to Joburg?
Yeah. I think it started in Cape Town. I think it started
Okay,
with the feeling. So when I was
always a
younger, I
feeling.
used to play with um,
Mm,
yeah, I used to play with Lego and Transformers
yeah,
and Action Man. And
yeah,
what I loved about those toys was that it felt like it's it felt like it could always be more than what it is, and
yeah,
it felt like it could exist in its own world.
yeah,
So I think my approach to clothing, it's not purely from a fashion design perspective. It's more just I need that feeling.
yeah,
Yeah, I need to get that feeling, and I think I've always had that since I was a kid.
mm,
I think a big part to channel that into fashion was my aunt used to run a boutique in Hyde Park Corner in Johannesburg,
yeah,
and she used to import like a lot of international designers, but like before they were cool, like
yeah.
Rick Owens, Yohji
Cool.
Yamamoto,
Yeah.
um, the whole Unfab Six. Um, so when
That's my
I
fa- that's
when
my
I
literally my favorite era of favorite era. You just hit Antwerp 6 right now. I'm pretty sure Antwerp 6 was on my screensaver somewhere or something, but but I hear you. I hear you.
no, those guys are like rock stars.
Yeah.
So for me, I think when I um, when I tried those clothes on, when I felt it in my hand, I got that feeling again where it's part of its own world. It
Yeah.
feels like the garment was more than what it was. So yeah, I think for me, I was just trying to recreate that through my clothes.
And I think that actually answers it so well because, well, I think for me personally, like I resonate because I think that's the reason why I got into fashion as well. It kind of like there's a certain feeling it was able to recreate. And you know, like it's kind of like it's symbiotic, even the way that it goes. And I think what you said right now is it brings back an earlier feeling, like you know, like you said, for example, like with the Legos. So what I think of that is cool. So when would you say that um you got into fashion? Because I feel as if there's, with me, for example, I used to just like, first time I got a thrifted item. I think it was like this denim jacket with like tassels at the back. I still have it, and I just felt so cool, man. Like I've never ever, I felt so like in my skin, and you know, like I think that was like the moment where I was like, okay, cool. Like, you know, now I know. When would you say your moment, the first moment was when you were like, okay, cool, like maybe I'm gonna actually become a fashion designer. Maybe I'm gonna take it like to that way.
Yeah. I think I actually started. I wanted to go into sneaker design.
Okay.
So and funnily enough, that was born from just being part of the culture. Just
Yeah.
I was in high school. I started getting into basketball, and
Yeah.
when you play basketball, especially in a school setting, you can't change your uniform, but you can change your shoes. Like that's when you
Okay,
can express some
cool.
of your personality.
Oh, so
So I
that's how people
started like
always got the flyest shoes on. They've always got the flyest shoes on.
exactly,
That's okay, cool.
exactly,
Right.
exactly, because that's like the one of the few places that you can really express yourself. So
Yeah.
I started dipping my toes in there, and then I realized, well, there's no schools locally where I can study sneaker design
Yeah.
or footwear manufacturing. So I thought, let me just mess around with this fashion thing, and then once I'm done,
Yeah. Let me
once I'm
just,
done,
yeah.
then I can move into then I can move back into sneakers.
Yeah.
Um, but I honestly fell in love with fashion just because I felt there were more tools that I could use to express myself with.
Definitely.
And I started. Um, that's quite a funny story when I think about it now. But I started wanting to intern at Shesha, um,
Okay.
the sneaker
Yeah.
place, because Shelf Life was only in Cape Town at that time.
Yeah. And what
But
age, what time period was that in South African fashion? I'm thinking, was that like maybe like between 2005, 2010? Was it somewhere over there? Or,
so it was. I was in grade 10, so 2015. I was around 2013.
okay, cool. Oh,
2013.
so, okay, cool. So, okay, got you,
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah. So I was in grade 10, and I wanted to like just intern
Yeah.
at a sneaker place just because I loved it.
Yeah.
Um, and then I couldn't get in for
Yeah.
whatever reason, and I was like, I'll work for free.
Yeah.
And I was even telling the sales staff, no, this sneaker does this because of this, and this is called this, and I was like, I knew everything at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe the age.
Mm,
They didn't want to like, kind of employ someone that was underage. But
mm.
anyway, so I started. I walked into a local designer. His name is Ryan Keys from the Keys fashion brand. I walked
Mhm.
into his store one day, also while I was in grade 10. In fact,
Yeah.
I was coming back from a maths tutoring lesson.
You were,
uh,
I think you definitely knew what you wanted to do. Like I think everyone else was kind of like slowing you down. Like, if everyone else just listened to what you were saying, like, you know what you get me? I feel as if everyone else was probably like saying, maybe no, not this, not that. And like, dude, like, I know. It's just like,
well, so here's my thing. I'm also quite an insecure artist with what I create.
got you.
So I also need a bit of knowledge.
Validation.
I need a
Even
bit of
you.
confidence. And so just to finish the story. So
Yeah.
we went into Ryan's store. We just started speaking, and he said, "Look, if you want to be in this industry, get as much experience as you can."
Yeah.
So I said, "Well, can I get experience working here by you?" And he said, "Yeah." And so I, since grade 10 all of my school holidays and weekends, and sometimes after school, I would spend at his store. And with him, I think I worked for 10 seasons, 10 seasons backstage at SA Fashion Week.
That's
Yeah, but
crazy.
that's sort of how I got into fashion, and then I studied, and then yeah.
Got you. Yeah, and I mean, like for me, like that's crazy. I mean, like 10 for 10 like collections or 10 seasons, you definitely knew like what effort and what resources actually go into putting on a collection and like a stage like SA Fashion Week. And it's cool because we're going to speak about like, you know, like that later on, and, you know, possibly also a bit about your collection, the irony. But I think it's also very good to get exposure at that age. So paint the picture for me now. So now I'm assuming you're hitting matric, you're about to enter into like a varsity age. How do you transition towards like the fashion? Do you go to school? Do you say screw school, I'm gonna go into it full time? How do you go about it?
Yeah, so it was pretty normal when I think about it. I mean, I just finished matric, and then I studied at Biliati Fashion Institute. I did a 3-year degree, and still then on weekends I was working by Ryan, and during the fashion weeks and stuff. And then after that, I did an amazing course. It's a mouthful. It's the Econ Design Innovation 21 Steps to Retail, which is kind of like a 1 year and 3-month program.
Yeah.
But it's partly with SA Fashion Week and partly with Edcon.
Yeah.
They really helped me. It's kind of like an incubation process.
Gotcha.
They really helped me get into like kind of launch into the industry a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's been sort of my process. But I think it's all, even if I haven't been conscious of it, it's all kind of been going in the same place.
I hear what you're saying. Like it's no matter what happened, you kind of found yourself further along in the journey. You know, even if for example it was doing this or doing that, it was always like it's all converging basically into this one location, and that's definitely going to be your brand. So then when does your brand actually become born? I feel as if like I always say your brand's name, and I always feel as if in my mind I'm butchering it or I'm saying it wrong. So I think also a good place would also be to get like why did you name it that as well? Like I think I really want to hear, because I'm pretty sure your name is Michael Reid. Most people name their brands after themselves. You know, so the fact that you've named it something, and I don't know what it is, it just intrigues me even more in terms of like, okay, cool, like what does it mean?
Yeah, maybe I should not say what it is so I can keep that intrigue.
Take it to the. I've waited this long, so I'll wait longer. But I thought this would be the great time. Get you on a call, be like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay. So the brand is called Xavier Sadan South Africa.
Yeah.
And the reason why I called it that is Xavier is almost what I was named as a baby.
Okay.
And Sadan is my mother's surname, which I don't have. So to me, I wanted to create this space where it's almost an environment where I can just create, where I can just tell stories. It doesn't necessarily have to be based in nonfiction. It can be stories of my culture, of people who've come before me, of hypothetical situations, but the emotion has to be honest, and it has to be authentic. But to me, like naming the brand that way was just a reminder to me that this is my creative space. And it almost freed me a little bit.
That's sick. Like I think almost out of all the possible like reasons why in my mind that I thought you'd name it, that's not one, which essentially that's literally like not one. And I think that's what for me, I'm like, okay, cool, that's sick. Like, so I could have been named Xavier essentially, but I wasn't. And essentially, like
Mhm.
that's a name essentially which exists, but it's essentially not yours. So,
Mhm.
or you don't have it. So it's kind of like it's mythical to a certain extent, but it's also intimate because it's really like tangible aspects of your life, which is like
Yeah.
cool.
And I think that's a to me it's almost a recurring thing in my work to have
Yeah,
something that's a bit more um, fantasy, maybe a bit more purely to tell the story, but then also I need a part that is um, kind of based in the past a little bit because that centers me.
definitely,
That's
definitely,
what keeps me in the space.
100%. And it's so like cool that you actually said that because I think I'm able to now trace it back a lot to not even really your design ethos or what I view your design ethos to be as like a consumer or as like a fan, but also like the ones of the people who inspire you. Um,
Mm.
and like you said Yoji, for example, who for me is just like you. Like I love people who like saying no. I like people who like saying fuck the system. I'm gonna do something this way or that way. So like that period for me of fashion, Antwerp six, that was happening in Europe, and it all just makes sense. It all connects basically. Um, so
Mhm.
and I think with that, I'd want to maybe speak about more your design ethos. And your just maybe like how you create. I was been interested in maybe how you create and with you also showing now very soon at SA Fashion Week. Um, like how would you say that um like Xavier Sadan's like design aesthetic is like what do you think would you describe it as being for like a consumer like a fashion consumer? Um,
Yeah, it's tough.
yeah,
Purely just, I mean, you've seen the collection. It's kind
yeah,
of different to what I've done before.
yeah,
Um, but I would say the the brand, something we've always stuck to is that we don't we don't really make clothes for people who fit into systems
mm,
or like specific societies.
yeah,
We kind of make clothes for people of a certain mindset and an outlook
yeah,
rather than someone of like a certain gender or age or race or income bracket. And like even when I say that, it's not necessarily to say that money isn't an issue.
yeah,
It's just to say that um, my customers care most about that feeling that I was talking about earlier. When you pick up a garment,
yeah,
you have to feel that there's been work and there's been intention and um, to me each and every garment in it's almost like each garment plays a role in the narrative of the look, which plays a role in the narrative of the entire collection.
yeah,
So um, the smallest details is like what
yeah.
I obsess over.
Mm.
Um, and to, I guess I'm not really answering your question because all I'm saying is
Yeah, yeah. It's a long-winded way, but I'm enjoying what you're saying, and it's actually like in my mind, I'm just like, yeah, like I in my mind, like it's confirming a lot of what I thought. It's confirming a lot of
yeah,
what I thought. Like you're a very considerate designer. Like you can tell you really think about each and every aspect, and it really comes across. But yeah,
yeah. So look to well, thank you because that's exactly what I do, and I'm
yeah,
glad that you
100%.
um, but to actually just answer the question properly,
Mm,
I think um, our clothes are very narrative based.
yeah,
Uh, we're very detail orientated.
mm,
Um, and as I've said earlier, like with the name, I like clothes that are kind of based in a um, a conventional silhouette, a more
mm,
conventional silhouette, like
mm,
a blazer or a denim jacket or something.
yeah,
To me, that centers it. And then I try and play around like how many small things can I change?
got
Um,
you.
even with this collection now, we've introduced 3D printed buttons. where nobody else in the world is doing it. It's made partly from offcuts, plastic offcuts, and the buttons can be re-smelted and reprinted into something new. So it's like all of these small things that you take for granted. But trust me, when you put on a jacket that's got 3D printed buttons on, you don't forget that.
I'm trying to get a jacket with. That's the kind of jacket I'm trying to get. You know, like that's my type of jacket. Like, and I think it's so much. It just makes it like even better just hearing you just speak about your work and just your collection, and like how you're just tying the fantasy. I feel like you're tying the fantasy together with like some form of realism. Like, and that's for me, like, that's for me what my biggest thing is. Like, if I look at your garments, for example, I immediately see Yoji. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like, and I want to speak about your favorite looks as well, because it's gonna be so cool. People seeing this and then being like, okay, cool. Like, he said that about that, and then when you see this, like, oh, that's the one he was talking about. That's the 3D printed buttons. It's that one. And like I even said to you, like on text, like I was like the last half for me was just like crazy. Like I think when you get into like blazers and I like what you do with trousers as well, like the hang of the trousers and like the 3/4 even sometimes, and like the layering of everything. It's very much like Yoji, like, and Ray with Com, and like that era. On your side of your collection, like maybe even tell us a bit about that, and further than that, maybe just say what your favorite look is from the collection. That's a question for me, actually. What do you think is your favorite aspect of your collection?
That's, I don't know if I can pick a favorite look. That's like picking a favorite.
Exactly. But I'm pushing you in a corner where I'm like, you love all of them, but you have to pick one.
Yeah. I got you. Okay, so this upcoming collection, the working title is The Circle of Life, and I'm focusing on moments of my childhood in Cape Town, of times when I was amazed by the normalness of the situation. You know, like when you've come home from work, it's a Thursday, it's like the middle of the week, it means nothing. You've traveled this route like millions of times. But for some reason, you're just like, the sun looks amazing. Like, the clouds look insane.
You're a wise Jedi. I was thinking about it just the other week. I was like, wow, this just feels like a very... This moment feels better now than it didn't feel the same yesterday. Like, you know, and it just makes you appreciate, like, when you compare them relative to each other, you're like, you know, it's actually a good moment right now. So I get you with like the normal thing, how you can find, like, it's comforting. Like, it's reassuring.
And especially in a time like now, where everything is abnormal, I think you're really focused on the normal moments. And I've lost a few people during this time, so I've tried to, in this collection, contrast those moments of like really great normal life with death and topics of like grief. In the collection, I'm sure you've picked up in the order also, there's a almost distinct first half and then a second half. It's like 100%. Life and and that's reflected in how we've been sustainable with this collection too, because all of the garments come from places where they were previously discarded. So like they were off-cut fabric, or this garment was a sample and it got cut, or samples that got completely forgotten about that can't be sold anymore. So that's almost like the garments have died, and we're giving them another life.
You're like,
and the same thing. And the same thing with the 3D printed version is like it comes from a place of like offcuts where it was almost dead, and we've given it a new life. And the choice of music as well.
I'm keen for that.
Yeah, I can't reveal too much.
Don't yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's an artist that did pass away this year, and I feel like it's a classic song, so I'm trying to give it a new life. I've tweaked it a little bit to match the show.
I think, and like, sorry, I was the one who was interrupting you, by the way. So I saw your point. No, I was the one interrupting you, and I think I really wanted to, purely because like I really appreciate it when there's so many layers of consideration to something, and like it, for me, it's so validating when I, for example, view it without knowing the narrative, and it's reminiscent of those feelings. And for when you explain it to me and it's congruent, it makes me feel as if like you're designing from a very honest place more than anything. And when you said, even for example, the first half of the collection and the second half, that representing life and that representing death, I felt a bit dickish because I really like the second half, but you know what I'm saying. But even when you mentioned the good grief part, like that's for example, like that's one of the first things that I actually took note of, like within the whole layering and the silhouettes. So yeah, I'm really excited to see it. I'm really excited to see it with the music now. I'm really excited to see it how you guys are actively like aiming to present it. And I'm really excited for other people to see it as well. More than anything, like I honestly feel as if like that platform, and this will probably really encourage people to actually actually watch the collections of the SA Fashion Week, because the shit is fire. Like I think that it's only gonna, and I feel as if this is like a drop in like the water, basically. I feel as if your brand is literally gonna go super, super far. Especially like if it's creating out of that, and I think it's the appetite of the local consumer now wants that. So I think inadvertently, like by sticking to your DNA and how you grew up and sticking to that, you, from a timing perspective, it just links so well. Like it really, really links so well. I'm rambling.
That's
but yeah,
that's a very awesome thing to say. Thank you so much.
No, definitely. And again, dude, like I'm really excited, just as like a fashion consumer more than anything. And I'm also like excited to like see it like in its full form, because I know if you are how I picture you to be in my mind, which I'm never wrong about that. I know that there's a lot of consideration which has gone into the music, a lot of consideration which has gone into the finest details. So when it all comes together, like it's it's all these things put together, it amounts to something much bigger.
Yeah.
So I'm the collections, yeah.
Yeah. As we said, I'm from that school of the Antwerp Six. I'm from the school of Margiela, where if you watch old Margiela shows from like 91 or 89, it's like the music plays a role, the setting plays a role, the show invitations play a role. Exactly. Every little thing has a meaning.
Exactly. I think that's why like I'm always so drawn to luxury, and I hate myself afterwards sometimes, purely because like I like the everything. So when I watch a show, when I watch Raf, for example, like Raf, like I'm literally gonna get a Raf tattoo. Like like that's the one designer for me who just, I think my Raf is probably like your Yoji, or maybe your like your Dries or your Margiela. But for me, Raf, it's rare for me to ever come across a designer who is within a different age bracket, a different skin color.
Yeah.
Like Raf is completely different to me. And for him to be able to just so well articulate youth culture, like he speaks about it so well through his clothes, like just the storytelling and the symbolism behind the collections. And the first collection I think which got me into fashion was Raf's for his actual brand. I think it was his autumn winter 16 collection, where the models were wearing. No, not the drugs one. The drugs one came just after, but I really fuck with the drugs one. The drugs one is crazy for me. This is the one where the models were wearing these oversized jumpers, like
okay.
like these oversized jumpers. I remember I got myself like an oversized jumper from Cotton On, I think. Like I just got an extra large jumper from Cotton On. And I was walking around here, like, you know, people were like, "What is wrong with this kid? I'm wearing boots there. I feel cool." I'm like, I saw it there. So
yeah,
with you, like, who would you say your let's be contemporary fashion. I know who your OGs are. Contemporary, like, for example, whose collections do you like still geek over?
First and foremost, Raf as well. As I said, well, I think for me, my favorite Raf collection is the Drugs collection.
Yeah, the Drugs collection is up there.
I love that collection, and I love the meaning behind it. I love the whole story about the movie that it's based on, and even those hoodies where it's like, I think it's like a blazer or hoodie on a blazer.
Yeah,
it's got drugs printed on, but that is the exact book cover of the book that the movie was based on.
That's crazy.
But
was that the one?
Like all of the
Blade Runner. I think his Calvin Klein collection was based on Blade Runner, the movie. Got you.
The Drugs collection. I can't remember what the name of the movie is, but it's like I think it's a Belgian or German movie originally, but it's like the story of a girl that gets trapped in the drug life and the whole rock star culture, that sort of energy. But his collection is based on the book, on the movie and the book as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got completely sidetracked.
No, it's a Raf, definitely. Yeah, got it.
But look, as much as I love Margiela, I really love what John Galliano is doing at Margiela currently.
Definitely. 100%.
I'm a designer where I still need a bit of commerciality in my collection, for me personally. But I love to see when someone goes completely avant-garde and let's just make something completely unwearable.
Yeah. Like literally, like that in that answer, like exactly how you said it. Like when I think it was Galliano's first couture show at Margiela, I think it was, where I looked at it and I was like, is this like couture in its I've never seen couture like this. I was like, this guy is literally saying, you know, like, I know you guys are expecting this, but, you know, I'm going to give you that. Like, and I was like, these things are so unwearable, but they looked so good. It looked so good.
That was the one that had like lobster stuff on it, right? Like a whole massive lobster, big print on the front. I love that too. I really love what Galliano is doing at Margiela. Weirdly enough, I know this last collection wasn't like a big hit for Burberry, but I kind of like what Riccardo Tisci is doing at Burberry.
Me too. I actually got heat for saying that. I don't know. Like I feel like I personally feel as if like Burberry got a bit boring. Not even a bit. I think Burberry got a lot boring. Like I don't know. I got tired of just seeing the Beckons and like the, you know, like the Burberry ad and stuff. I was like, I forgot his name. He was the creative director at the time. Exactly. Like, but he was like, I don't know, he was apparently like the guy, he like owned it and he was the creative director. I was like, this guy's clearly doing a lot. And I think when he left and Ricardo came and someone essentially who's not British at like such a British like brand, like, you know, I like that. I was like, okay, cool, dude, like actually like challenge, just do different silhouettes, just do Burberry in a different way. But when he reinvented the check, when he brought the Burberry check back, and he was doing it in like different, like more like, you know, more like European silhouettes and stuff, and it pissed the British people off. I think I liked it even more because of that. You know.
Yeah.
So I personally, and I like the more recent Burberry show as well. I think it was cool.
Yeah. And I'm sure you're also a fan of Craig Green.
Definitely.
I love Craig Green.
Definitely.
Also, I think Samuel Ross at A Cold Wall is doing an amazing job.
I think from an if we're talking purely from like an aesthetic and like a look, feel and stuff, like you're if I'd pick out of everyone, I'd say you're probably the closest to Samuel Ross and, like, you know, A Cold Wall. Like all the people just mentioned, and I think that's also, it's a consideration for product, man. Like you can't replicate that. You can't. It's either the designer cares about that or they don't care about it. Like either or.
And I think to me, I kind of I expected that from local designers, and I wasn't really getting that.
Yeah.
That's what I felt I needed to bring, because I almost can't sit still. Like I can't accept doing something halfway. I can't. I as I've told you before, I work 7 days a week for like 12 hours straight. I put in so much work, not even necessarily because I want a good product, but just because I can't not give a good product.
Same.
Like,
yeah.
I can't
not. It can't. Yeah, exactly. Like it's it's actually not a choice. Like if I'm doing it, then, you know, like sometimes you can even hate yourself, because it's like, you know, the pain. It's gonna take so much work. It's gonna be so much, but you know, there's no other way. So if you take it up, you're like, oh shit, like it's gonna a couple of sleepless nights here. Tick, like, you know, that I'm gonna first hate it, and then wake up the next day and like work so hard and change it, and then the next day I'm gonna love it, and then I might dislike it again the next day. But it's gonna be a process. But I know at the end of the day, yeah.
Was that more or less the same process with you and your dissertation now?
100%. I think, oh man, and people are able to do things so like easily and off the whim, like, you know. And for me, I'm just like, dude, I know for me to give like that quality product, I know what I need to put in, and I know I'm always going to put that in. So when I've got something like dissertation, when it was there and stuff, I was like, yeah, this is gonna send me, hey, this is gonna take a lot out of me. Like, and I just kept on getting like very cool people on it, like, and I just kept, and then I was like, okay, cool. Like, I didn't expect to have like, you know, like Rob, I didn't expect to have Art Club and Friends, you know, like on it. Like now I'm like, okay, cool, now it has to be even harder now. Now it has to be even better. Like now Rewoven come onto it as well. I'm like, okay, cool, now when you take it up again, then Jackie from Twig comes. I'm like, okay, cool. Now, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think like there's a lot of similarities between me and you, even in that way, because I know that's like how you create.
And you see what I was saying earlier about my type of customer. It's not even just about the customer; it's the community. Like it's for people of who have a certain outlook, not necessarily any race, any gender, any income. It doesn't matter where you are. On paper, we are very different, but we are so similar in reality.
Exactly, 100%. And to maybe because I know from like a time perspective, I'd say we probably have maybe like 5 more minutes, and I think yeah, and I think that this podcast has made me very exceptional with timekeeping. So we're not over anything. I've just been very good at keeping time. And I think the 2 last things I wanted to maybe speak about, and maybe I'll just give them those 2 questions, then you can maybe just answer those. And
let's go.
And the first essentially is like on your cohort of designers. So I'm familiar with, you know, quite a lot of them. But I'd maybe just want to hear maybe from your perspective, like who maybe like, maybe not everyone, but who excites you You know what I'm saying? Like who out of like because you, I mean, you're in the same cohort essentially as Boyd for some,
Mhm.
essentially with Tabo Kopele, Art Club and Friends, you know, like
Mhm.
like there's a lot, and even more and more and more. So especially off of
Mhm.
like that group, which I believe is like the new like vanguard of like local designers, like direct to consumer, like consideration of product more than anything, like meeting the consumer essentially like halfway. How, like who would you say maybe also is like, could be even a homie, like who's like really exciting you, like right now? And secondly, would be speaking to maybe like anyone watching this right now who is maybe trying to create the next Xavier Sadan, who's trying to maybe, for example, I don't know, venture into fashion, who heard something about your story which resonates. Like, what essentially would you, what advice would you say for someone who's trying to transition in that way and create their own brand? Um, Maybe even something which maybe you learned that maybe someone didn't tell you. But this industry and stuff, it's a lot of like, you have to find things out by actually doing them. There's not like much information which flows. So like maybe just one pointer which you kind of like had to learn yourself. But let's start maybe with your cohort.
Yeah, that's a loaded two questions. Um,
Couldn't forget those. Mm,
so I've seen all of my the other designers that I'm in the SF Fashion Week starting menswear competition with.
yeah.
Um, like you said, it's Samkelo Boyd from
Mm,
Boyd, Dabukopele, there's Maklele, there's Gugu Peteni, and me obviously, and those guys, they've done an insane job.
yeah.
I've seen their collections,
Yeah.
and even as me as someone that's in the competition, I don't see a clear winner. It's everybody, everybody has done such an insane
Yeah.
job, and I love what everybody is doing within the competition.
Yeah.
Um, and then the next question,
Mm,
I would say a good a good bit of advice,
yeah.
which is very cliche, will
Yeah.
be yourself.
Yeah.
Um, and the reason why I say that is because especially in this industry, it's so easy for someone to, or let me rather speak from a personal standpoint. I feel like with my first couple of collections, um, I I took too many people's opinions
Yeah.
and I changed what I was doing based on that. And it's
Always,
always
always,
something
it's
like,
always that.
um, yeah, and for me, I think the main thing that I forgot, or the main thing that scared me almost was when people tell you, yeah, but in the South African market, that's not going to sell.
Mm,
So don't you have to make it
mm,
sellable for the South African market.
mm.
And it's like, well, like yeah, that hasn't been done before, so we know it's not going to sell. And
Yeah.
I think recently, what I've tried to tackle with this collection
Mm.
is for me to just say, fuck that.
Yeah. That's basically, that's essentially what you have to say. Like I
Yeah,
hear what you're saying, but I'm gonna go that way. I'm
yeah,
gonna go that way. Like,
yeah. So I think you have to, yes, you have to do a lot of research and you have to get people's perspectives and stuff. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, if somebody is telling you this won't work because it hasn't been done before,
yeah,
I think you can say it hasn't been done before, and that's what makes it amazing.
exactly.
Like, that's what I'm contributing to the world. And
Mm,
it shouldn't necessarily be about um, what market or what
mm,
role I'm filling,
yeah,
but it should be about what market can I create
yeah,
and what can I add.
yeah,
Because we've already got enough H&Ms, we've already got enough Zaras,
yeah,
we've got that. We don't need any more normal clothes.
yeah.
So let's actually start making clothes that are interesting, that make you
I,
feel an emotion.
That's a quotable actually. Like that's literally. I'm thinking about it. I'm probably going to tweet that even cryptic. People will be like, "Ooh, what does he mean by that?" Yeah, like we really don't. We don't need any more of that. We have enough of that. We're suffering because of that. Like we need more. We need more like new things. And I think that's going to inspire a lot of, because I know a lot of kids, like some of them are even my friends, for example, you know, who are like, you know, in situations where people are telling them, oh no, think retail. Oh no, you know, think that. Oh no, go intern, not even intern in that way, but no, go work at like, you know, a retailer or something, you know.
Yeah.
And I know that I can see deep down that they don't want to, that the answer that they want to give is the opposite of that. But
Yeah.
the noise can get so loud sometimes. So
look. Also, I'll be completely honest.
yeah,
I do think you need a lot of that as well.
of
You
course.
need the research and you need to understand the industry.
Yeah,
But still, you need to be able to say, I know what it is, I know what is happening, but then this is where I want to take it.
definitely. And I think that's understanding of self at the end of the day, which that comes with. Cool. And I think that like that's a super wow. Actually, it's such a good way to, it's such a good note to like end it on as well. Like, and I think more than anything, if really anyone is watching this right now, they literally next week. Actually, give us the details about SA Fashion Week maybe for that. Like, you know, next week, next weekend, from which dates, where can people purchase tickets and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. I feel like Robin felt in the last interview where you guys ended it and she was
like, no, like let's continue, guys. We're gonna find a way. Hey, we're gonna actually find a way to do this. Like 45 minutes ain't enough.
Please do more of these. This is awesome.
100%.
So yeah, so our you can purchase tickets through CompuTicket.
Yeah.
Our show is on the 24th of October on a Saturday at 8 o'clock in the evening.
Perfect.
The awesome thing is, if you purchase a ticket to my show, you also get to see the other 4 designers that are in the competition with me and Apparel, who was the winner of last year's competition.
Yeah.
So it's like it's one of and trust me when I say I've seen these collections.
It's nuts.
You will not regret buying a ticket.
100%. So I think everyone, they heard that. They definitely heard that, and you know, I definitely believe that, and I'll definitely be there. More content also like to come, like surrounding that, but that's gonna be that's gonna be for then. But again, dude, like really, thank you for freeing up the time. I really appreciate this, and I'm really excited just for like not even what you've already done, but what you're still gonna do. Like, and I think that's just not just me. I think it's me and a lot of other people. And those who haven't interacted with your brand right now, trust me, after they have interacted with it, you're gonna it's all essentially gonna make sense. But again, dude, thank you for this, and yeah.
Thank you so much. Once again, this has been an awesome experience,
Yeah.
and I think what you are doing is going to add so much to our industry.
Yeah.
Our industry. It's
exactly.
not mine. It's not yours. It's ours.
It's our industry. Yeah, exactly. Like we need to. If people don't essentially like look after our industry, right? If people, for example, can come and say this and say that and stuff, I'm like, it's still your industry at the end of the day. Like you need to be a part of the change more than anything. Like,
yeah.
And
as I've told you, I live by that thing of faster learn, further together.
100%.
Let's get there.
Definitely, dude. But yeah, let me actually stop recording, and then.
Front Row Media Podcast.